Wayne from the CERN and Earth and Space Center here. In today's video, we're going to be taking a closer look at one of the constellations in our nighttime sky, and that is the constellation of Taurus the Bull. We'll take a deeper look at some of the objects, the deep sky objects that you can find in there if you have a nice telescope. Some of them you can see with the naked eye, but a couple of them you need to have a good telescope to see. So I'll point out where those are and how you can find them in the sky, where you need to point that telescope, and we'll take a closer look at some really cool pictures of some of these objects. So let's load up our sky simulator and take a look. So here we are, standing in front of the CERN and Earth and Space Center at Triton College in River Grove, Illinois. We have our date set to March 12th and our time set for 7:30 at night, which is about an hour and a half after the sun sets. So it should be nice and dark for you to see some of the stars. And what we're looking for is Taurus the Bull. We're facing towards the west right now, looking at the CERN and Earth and Space Center. If we just turn a little bit towards the southwest and look higher up in the sky, then we will be able to see that distinctive V shape of Taurus the Bull right here in the bright star Aldebaran inside of Taurus the Bull, the eye of the bull. There's another bright object, and that is the planet Mars, which we can see in the sky on March 12th, right in the middle of Taurus the Bull. So that's definitely something you want to take a look at. If you look at Mars through a telescope, even just a basic telescope, it's not particularly exciting. It's just a slightly larger orange dot, but it is cool to take a look at it anytime you get the chance. Now, there's some other very bright objects that we can see inside of Taurus the Bull. I'm going to zoom in a little bit for us here. Now, here around Chicagoland, we do have problems with light pollution. That makes it a little bit hard for us to see some of the stars. But inside Stellarium here, we can get rid of all of the light pollution. We can turn off the atmosphere entirely and give us nice, clear views of everything we would be able to see in outer space if we didn't have to deal with all of the city lights and all of the interruption from our atmosphere. And now this gives us a slightly better view of this object right here, which is called the Pleiades. It's an open star cluster, and it has about 6 or 7 stars that we can see with the naked eye, which gives it its other name that we like to call it, the Seven Sisters, because you can see about 7 stars right in the same area of the sky, very, very close together. Now, in reality, there are actually hundreds of stars inside of this open cluster. They all formed around 100 million years ago. They're still rather young for stars, and they haven't quite moved away from each other in space yet. So they're all still taking up the same area of the sky, very close together. If we were to zoom in a little bit, we can get some better views of the Pleiades star cluster and many of the stars in there as well. It is a truly spectacular sight. If you have a really good telescope, then you'll be able to see those hundreds of stars, as well as some of this nebula that those stars are passing through right now, some of these dust clouds that you can find in the sky. So that is the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, sitting in the shoulder of Taurus the Bull, but it's not the only star cluster in Taurus the Bull. This distinctive V shape that we see here is part of another open cluster called the Pleiades. The bright star Aldebaran, the eye of the bull, is not part of that Pleiades cluster. It just happens to be in our same line of sight. But all of these stars that make up this nice V shape that we see here are part of that Pleiades star cluster. It's much older than the Pleiades, about 625 million years old, so they've spread out a little bit more. But again, just like the Pleiades, they all formed from the same stellar nebula in the same region of space. They're about the same temperature, same composition. So they're stars that are very, very similar to each other. They grew up in the same stellar nursery as one another. Now, there's one more deep sky object that you can find in the constellation of Taurus the Bull. It's a little bit harder to find. It's rather faint, and you do need a telescope to be able to see it, but you probably have seen some pictures of this. It's not too far away from the tip of the left horn of Taurus the Bull. If we zoom in a little bit, then we'll start to be able to see this bright object right here. And the closer we zoom in, the more and more you'll see that it's not quite a star. This is a supernova remnant. It's called the Crab Nebula. This was part of a the leftovers of a tremendous supernova that happened well over 1,000 years ago in the year 1054. It was bright enough to see during the daytime right after it happened, but it has since faded in time, and now you need to have a telescope in order to be able to see it. But there are some fantastic pictures of this Crab Nebula that you can get from the Hubble Space Telescope as well as other telescopes around the world. So if you see any pictures of the Crab Nebula, now you know that that is right next to the tip of the left horn of Taurus the Bull in the sky. So you know where to find that. Now, these are some of the brightest or most recognizable of the objects in Taurus the Bull, but they're by no means the only ones. There are many clouds and nebulae you can find, some bright stars and cool objects, but these are some of the most recognizable and most photographed. Well, thank you everyone for taking a closer look at Taurus the Bull with me today. Again, my name is Wayne from the CERN and Earth and Space Center. Remember to like and subscribe to get notifications about our next videos whenever they're posted. And check us out on our Facebook or our website at triton.edu/CERNin. But remember, the most important thing is to get out there and take a look at your night skies.